Alright, if you came to see me actually throw some pots, here we go. They're not finished pieces, and it's actually not a sink, but I've got some. You ready? Got some old pieces, some bisqueware, some pieces that are broken or cracked, or I just don't like them. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to Matthew Kelly Pottery on YouTube. I hope you are doing well today. Today we're going to throw another sink because I've got another order for a sink. That's a good reason to throw a sink, right? And the last video I did on throwing a pottery sink did very well on YouTube. I think maybe half the people that showed up to watch that video thought I was actually going to like throw a pottery sink and bust it. And that unfortunately didn't happen. Well, fortunately, unfortunately didn't happen in the last video. But either way, we're going to make another sink today. And so if you're here to see me breaking pottery, it may not happen, but who knows? So either way, let's go. Now on to sink number 2, and by sink number 2 I mean sink number 2 today. I know I have a previous sink video, we just talked about that, but I also made a sink just a few minutes ago. Didn't like my recording, just didn't like how I talked about it, things I said, so we're just doing it over. Because I had clay balls here for 2 sinks anyway, and so I cut those up a few minutes ago. I've got 2 6-pound clay balls for each sink, so that each sink's going to be 12 pounds of clay, wet clay, and cut those up and got those set over here. The first 2 clay balls I just squished flat, or not flat, but just squished, made those stubby. The other 2 clay balls I rounded on the table. That's so that as I center the clay balls, I can center the bottom piece, and when I go to throw the second piece on top, it's rounded so I don't trap any air between the 2 clay balls. If you guys have been here for any length of time, you've seen me center larger amounts of clay in 2 clay balls like that. It's just a great way to do that, and you can do that whether you're doing 12 pounds or whether you're doing 6 pounds or whether you're doing 4 pounds. You can put center a 2-pound clay ball, throw 2 pounds on top, and you get 4 pounds of clay centered easier, in my opinion, than if you're just trying to center 4 pounds of clay. So that's the reason I do that. Most of you have seen that. All right, today's sink we're throwing, this one's pretty cool because this one is a lady named Donna who is actually a customer of mine. She follows me on YouTube. She's an art and pottery teacher in North Carolina, and she's been showing my YouTube videos in her class for like the last year or 2, and she even came up with one of her students to my kiln opening sale here a couple weeks ago, and that was a really cool experience, getting a chance to meet her and her student Taylor. And so anyway, just wanted to shout out to her, and I'm excited about making this sink for her. They're redoing a bathroom, and just excited about making this sink. She has one of my coffee pour-overs already that actually Taylor bought for her as a surprise, so it's a pretty cool story, a little bit of history there. But anyway, we're going to start out by centering one of the 6-pound clay balls, throw the other one on top, and then I'll probably bring you guys back out of a sped-up bit after I get all that done, because that takes a little bit of concentration, and it's not the most exciting part of the process, but you can still see it here. Alright, for any of you who are wondering if I ever check the bottom of my pots with a needle tool, I just did that. And for any of you who are ever wondering if I ever cone up while I'm centering, you probably just saw that as well. I don't do that very often, but with larger pieces like this, it definitely can be helpful. One of the things I didn't like about the first one that I threw is I left a little bit too much clay in the bottom, and I also didn't curve the bottom as much as I wanted before I started throwing. So I'm fixing those couple things in this one before we start. I almost knocked it out of center while opening up the clay ball in this one, so I have to be very careful when I first start pulling here to kind of pull it back on center as I'm doing that, because as big as this bowl is going to be, any little bit of a wobble is going to get exaggerated as we make this. So want to try to mitigate that as much as possible. There's a certain degree that you can kind of like get things back on center after you've opened them, but it's a very small amount that you can affect that. But with the amount of clay that I'm working with here, it's a little easier than if you have like a smaller clay ball that's without as much clay to work with. You know, if you've already got it thinner than this, it'd be a little harder to kind of manipulate the clay back to the center. This has got some resistance to it that it still has, so I can kind of push this towards the center still, even at this stage. Alright, I think I've got it done pretty well there. Now we're going to start, of course, by pulling up the walls. I'm just kind of going up and out in kind of like a V shape, and we'll put the shape into it, the curved shape into it later. I'm really going to try to focus on not pulling too much on the rim, because this is going to get really wide by the time it's done, probably close to 20 inches wide. I want that rim to be a little bit beefy anyway, and you know, as this gets wider from 10 inches to 20 inches, it's going to thin out as well, so I don't want to get that too thin by the time it gets to the full width. You guys probably can't tell and won't know if I didn't tell you, but I had about probably a 45-minute break there in between switching camera angles because I had some customers show up unexpectedly. I have my phone in airplane mode so it doesn't get interrupted, but then I don't get the notice when a customer is called and wants to come by, and I heard him in the driveway, so just had some customers come by, and thankful for every customer that comes by. I usually like a phone call, which they did call, but didn't get through because of the airplane mode. But either way, now we're back to throwing this, and I noticed that while it was sitting here, it got a little bit drier on one side than the other from the air conditioner, so I'm having to work with that. Just a little slight wobble or difference in stiffness, but I think we'll be okay. I'll have to back up my water bucket here a little bit. Mainly trying to get all the weight I can out of the bottom before I start doing the shaping. Get it pulled as much as I want, because once I start doing that shape, I definitely won't be able to pull anymore. I think I've got one more good pull I probably need to do from the bottom, and then we'll put the foot on it and then start doing the shaping. There we go. I definitely like that. That worked out really well. Let's check what width we got now. We're up to about 17.5, and height is maybe around 7 or a little over, but I think that's good. Alright, now let's get the foot on the bottom. water out, and then we're going to add a little bit of water to the outside edge and then start shaping from the inside. So I'm going to add this water to the outside edge with my sponge, reverse the wheel, and shape from the inside. Actually, before I do that, I want to smooth the outside with my rib a little bit. Get rid of some of those throw-in lines so the glaze will run easier on the outside. Alright, now add water. Alright, now that we have the water on the outside, I'm going to reverse the wheel, use my rubber mud tools rib on the inside. As I mentioned in my first sink video, and I've mentioned in several others, I learned this technique of shaping from the inside of the bowl from my buddy Ron Philbeck, who you can find him on Instagram. Makes some really nice soda fired pieces, some really cool slip decoration and drawings on his pots. But using my dominant hand on the inside to shape really helps because you have so much more control over the shaping process by using my dominant hand with the rib. And so that's what's really helped with this process of shaping from the inside. On a sink, I really like to make sure that I get, like I said, a nice curve, especially down at the bottom. And I'll probably work on this a little bit more when I go back in the other direction. Right down next to the drain, you don't want to have a flat area where any water can puddle. You want to make sure it all goes down the drain. You don't want water puddling in the bottom of your sink. Alright, I think that's probably good for shaping. We're going to lay over this lip once we reverse the other way around. But right now we're close to 18, which will probably give us about the 20 that I want by the time I lay the lip over. Alright, before I lay that lip over, I think I'm going to go down into here to the bottom and just, like I said, make sure that I got a nice curve in the bottom of the bowl for the water to drain well. Like I said, that the very inside 2 inches is going to be cut away for the drain, but then outside of that you still want to make sure it's nice and curved down to that point. Alright, there we go. Now Now we can lay this lip over at the very rim. Just maybe an inch or so of flat rim laid over there. And then get a, well, my ruler's only 18 inches, so that's close to 20. And I like how thick the rim is right here. Got a really nice beefy rim on it. Got a nice curve all the way down. I like this one much better than the first one, and I'm hoping the recording is better. I'm assuming it will be. Broken up into 2 big chunks here. But anyway, like I did in my last video, I'm going to use my 1-inch chisel here to measure the size of the hole in the bottom. I'm pretty much just going to hold the left side of the chisel to the center and then mark the outside with the other side of the chisel. I think part of this is, yeah, worn off. I'm going to do it the other way. I believe I've hit a few nails with my chisel. I'm making some grooves in the bottom here, but that's okay. We can, I definitely don't want to bump up right there on the edge of that, so I'm going to smooth that back down. Alright, once I get this cut out, I can actually go back with my rib again on the inside and clean that up. I think I'm just going to use my screwdriver in the very bottom there to define where I'll kind of cut this outside groove there. I'm going to add some water to that very bottom. Hard part's keeping this steady. I don't have anything at all to brace on. Just want to go all the way down to the wheel head, or the bat, I should say. Alright, made it all the way down. Now I think I'm just going to kind of scrape this out with my screwdriver. There we go. Look at that. Just looks like I knew what I was doing right there. Alright, get the excess out right there. The bottom's still a little bit thicker than I wanted it, but I think it'll be fine. There's going to be, like I said, a lot of pressure applied to the bottom, tightening down that drain, so it's not a bad thing. Just going to smooth that up with my sponge, and maybe even come back with my rib and get that Alright, I think we're good there on the hole. I don't oops. I can't really get down in there and measure, but I'd say we're almost 2 inches, which is fine. Alright, if you came to see me actually throw some pots, here we go. They're not finished pieces, and it's actually not a sink, but I've got some. You ready? Got some old pieces, some bisqueware, some pieces that are broken or cracked, or I just don't like them. Here we go. I don't know about you, but I feel much better now. I hope you enjoyed that clip. I hope you will subscribe before you go. I hope you smash that thumbs up button, or hit it, or just press it lightly. I don't care what you do. But if you like the video and you share it with other people, that will help out the channel a whole lot. Thank you as always for your support here on YouTube, on Etsy, on Instagram, Facebook, Patreon. All of you are awesome, and I appreciate all your support and your comments and your feedback. Like I said, hope you enjoyed that. And Donna, of course, your sink is in the process now, and I will make sure that I post a picture or video, or include that in a future video, so you all can see when it's finished. But make sure you follow me on Instagram or Facebook for pictures and updates as far as that goes. And hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.